Okay, so next what we're going to talk about is the media queries in Thesis Classic Responsive. Now, this is part of a larger conversation or discussion about media queries, and if you don't know what I'm talking about when we talk about media queries, I would recommend that you go take a look at the session in not customize Thesis Like a Pro, the session in how to create a responsive skin for Thesis 2. Now, there's an awful lot of this that is different in Thesis 2.1, and in fact, it's become quite a bit easier to do some stuff. But creating the responsive CSS, Lesson 3 has a full and complete discussion on different types of mobile behavior and how media queries work and setting them up and testing them and that kind of stuff. So for a full conversation about it, this is the place to go. But we're going to talk about Chris's media queries, that is those that exist inside of the Thesis Classic skin. And he has 3 media queries. He has one media query where the maximum width of the device is the width of the page. And if we look at his, let's just refresh this, get that out of there. Okay. If we look at how he actually wrote it, let's see, down to our media query. At media, here we are. So here's his first media query. He's using the variable W total, which is the sum of both sidebar variables. So he's using W total, which is the sum of W content and W sidebar, as the first media query, which means that this media query value changes depending upon how wide you made the site, right? So this is not an absolute number. This is a number that is the sum of the columns in the site. Essentially what this really means is that any non-desktop view is going to use this version of the media query, right? As soon as we get, well, we're going to look at them. We can look at it here in the Responsinator, right? We can come down to this view right here, 1024, is still, the media query is still firing for this, right? And I presume that's by design for him. But essentially, that media query fires for all of the larger, well, for all mobile devices, all of the larger devices. The only thing it doesn't fire for is a regular desktop computer with a screen size that's bigger than 1008 pixels wide. The second one is the same kind of thing, except that the maximum width is 654 pixels, or the width of the content. So this is whatever the width you specified for your content container. For that, that's the media query that's going to fire when the device is smaller than that, right? Then it's going to fire. And then the last one is media all. So, I'm sorry, is a fixed number. And this is for smartphones, essentially, right? It's a maximum width of 450 pixels. So this one is not variable. All the rest of these things, the other two are variable, but this one is not. And they graduate from, the large tablet device to a small tablet device, large smartphone, and then to a typical smartphone. Those are the 3 breaks for the media query. Okay, now, I don't know if this is obvious to you, but it should be. This means that there are 4 potential conditions. There's the desktop condition, there is the large tablet condition, there is the small tablet condition, and then there is the phone condition. Right? Those are the 4 different conditions that happen. The first condition uses all of the CSS except what's contained in a media query. The second condition uses all of the CSS plus what's in that second media query. Third condition handles all of the CSS plus what's in the second and third, and then finally, the same thing for the fourth. So that's the order in which the CSS ends up getting applied. And this gives us the opportunity to do what I did on Wednesday, which is essentially to have a reverse or a negative media query. Remember that on Wednesday night, I reversed this media query. It says media all and max width W total. So I did the reverse of that, and I created a media query with min width. And that was how we created this background image that doesn't show up in our responsive view. And it's also how we removed the borders from the menu in the standard view but left them available in the responsive view. Right? That's that reverse media query. And if you need your mind refreshed, come back over here to custom CSS, and here it is, media all and min width W total. Now, something else that if you weren't here on Wednesday will be helpful for you to know, which is I have also created another tool for you, downloadable tool, and that's both a CSS version and a plain text version of my code snippets for Classic Responsive. And in the code snippets for Classic Responsive, I have my reverse media query here, which is the media query to show only in the desktop view. This one shows on larger mobile devices, smaller tablet devices, and then small mobile devices. So you can, if you download that, you'll have access to this media query here, or these media queries that I've set up for you. So those are the media queries in Thesis 2.1.